So I came across this Tucker Carlson clip where he had Jason Whitlock on talking about the DNC's supposed anti-police sentiment, and they failed to address the topic in an honest way. Whether that's on purpose or not, well, I'll dive into that. But first, here's the clip.
This is a Fox News alert, and we don't say that lightly. Day 2 of the Democratic National Convention begins tonight. It's featuring Bill Clinton and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Sandy will be monitoring it. We've taken a look at the Democrats' platform and found something interesting. They don't think it's safe for African Americans to go outside. As the platform says, quote, "It's unacceptable that millions of people in our country have good reason to fear they may lose their lives in a routine traffic stop or standing on a street corner while playing with a toy in a public park." It's scary. Is it true? Michelle Obama echoed this sentiment recently, in fact, last night. But again, is it rooted in reality? Jason Whitlock has been watching carefully. He writes for and is part owner of Outkick.com, which is excellent. We're happy to have him on tonight. Jason Whitlock, thanks so much for coming on. What do you make of this? You hear it a lot.
I think that fear is a mechanism, a tool for control.
Yeah.
And the Democratic Party, the mainstream media, are using fear to control people and to control African Americans in particular. You cannot function properly if you live in an irrational fear. Again, for those of us that have religious faith, we understand that fear is the friend of evil, and the reason you embrace faith is so that you can operate without fear and you can reach your highest potential. This is just an irrational fear. When they put that into the platform, when Michelle Obama echoes those thoughts, I'm just like, what Black communities have they actually lived in? Because that is not the fear that is pervasive throughout Black communities. Fear of being stopped by the police and killed. The stats, the facts, the evidence don't back up this irrational fear. So why is someone trying to instill that fear in us of the police? It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you engage with the police filled with fear, you're more likely to make really bad decisions that then provoke them to take action. It's irresponsible what they're doing and what they're saying.
I'd never thought of that part of it, but you're absolutely right, and you're absolutely right that fear makes every single human being irrational, me, you, everybody. So I wonder what the long-term consequences of this are, apart from the one you just mentioned. Like, what kind of scar does this leave on the country if you keep saying stuff like this?
Look, the number one thing you can do to prevent someone from reaching their potential is convince them that they can't, and to convince them that the whole country is rigged against them. Therefore, why even try? Give someone an excuse not to be successful. Give someone an excuse to behave improperly when dealing with the police is how you ensure failure. I was brought up my entire life to go out and attack the world, and anything was a possibility. That was the hope that was put in me coming. I was born in 1967. My parents lived through the civil rights movement. Their goal, their hope for me and my brother, my stepsister and stepbrother, was for us to go out and conquer the world. We're now telling kids you can't conquer the world. And so if you're a Black kid competing against Asian kids, white kids, Latino kids, and you've been convinced, oh, the whole system's rigged against you, you can't succeed, and the other kids you're competing with are out there, well, the world's on a platter for me. If I just go out and attack it and work hard, I'm going to be successful. You have less of a chance of competing against your peers if your attitude and mindset aren't right. Attitude controls outcome. And why the Democrats, I'm just sorry, it's pure evil. It's borderline satanic if you really have an understanding of religious faith, the principles taught in the Bible, why Jesus died on the cross for us. If God's on your side, how can you fail? It's sickening to me what this message, and to see a major political party pump this message into the Black community is really disheartening for me.
You're making me emotional listening to that, because I think you're so right. Jason Whitlock, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So off rip, I think the donkey in the room is Joe Icy Hot Biden's vice president pick and Kamala Harris, a former top cop with a history of protecting corrupt police officers and locking up nonviolent offenders, mostly black men, at a disproportionate rate while using them as slave labor. Joe Biden himself has publicly said he's not for defunding the police, but rather increasing the police budgets. And the man wrote the goddamn crime bill. It doesn't get more moderate Republican tough on crime than that. I mean, and then the overall narrative that, the Democratic Party is anti-cop. Even Bill de Blasio offered no type of sympathy for peaceful protesters when they were getting the shit beat out of them by the NYPD.
Some things were done very much the right way, in that we saw there was not, thank God, that loss of life or major injuries. And we saw tremendous restraint overall from the NYPD. There are always going to be some incidents we don't like.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And I'm going to speak about that as well. But when you composite the whole day, thousands upon thousands of officers in ever-changing situations, I saw a lot of restraint under very, very difficult circumstances. And I'm going to keep saying to anyone who is protesting for change, do not take your anger out at the individual officer in front of you, that man or woman who is simply trying to keep the peace.
But was completely outraged when a cop was violently attacked. Now, I'm in no way, shape, or form calling for violence against police. The point I'm raising is that Bill de Blasio's outraged when cops are attacked, but not when his own citizens are. And Tucker Carlson and the right continuously calling out de Blasio and the left for being too far left on cops is just lazy logic and inaccurate. Now, it's true. Democrats virtue signal to pander to black voters, but it's no different than Trump virtue signaling to pander to the conservative Christian evangelical base by ordering the attack of peaceful protesters just to take a photo op with a Bible.
We've just had to run about a block as police moved in. We've been fired at with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. We've also seen tear gas being used. Here we go, they're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like.
Press, let's go. Press, let's go. Come on. Guys, we gotta go.
So the overall point I'm trying to make is that Tucker Carlson criticizes the Democratic Party in a typical right-wing and inaccurate fashion, opposed to the populist fact-based lens he at times frames his positions in when a topic doesn't involve party lines. And Jason Whitlock is just throwing religious red bait out there to connect to the Fox News religious base. But in closing, you'll barely see Fox News or any right-wing media critique Joe Biden or Kamala Harris in a substantive fashion. Because as Joe Biden said himself to his donors, nothing will fundamentally change under his presidency. And to me, that's an indictment on Donald Trump just as much as it is on Joe Biden, because it shows that the populist rhetoric President Trump spoke during his 2016 campaign was just as much bullshit as Obama's rhetoric during his 07-08 campaign. And yeah, so I just wanted to say that in closing. It's starting to get annoying with this whole Republican narrative that Democrats aren't tough on crime and shit like that. I get it. To your everyday person who doesn't follow politics like that and is, leans on the conservative right-wing side, they're going to think that when they see Bill de Blasio on TV, wearing kente cloth and kneeling and shit. Well, I don't think he was the one doing it, but basically when they see Bill de Blasio pandering to the protesters. But when it comes to the actual policy and actions, they take when it comes to this shit, they're right wing when it comes to it. I'm sorry. And it's not just with the police, with policing, it's with most of their policies, from economic policies to social policies. Like, they're moderate Republicans. Like, I just don't get how you don't see that, especially when it's your job to commentate on that. Like, people like Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk, they're smart. They're smart people. They understand politics. And it's like, why are you not critiquing, the Democratic Party on the shit that's going to flip voters? Oh, because your guy believes the same thing. So that's why. And it's like, again, that's why I said that's just it's an indictment on Donald Trump more so. Yeah. So I'm done ranting. That's all I have to say about that topic. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and emphasis on the comments, because I want to talk to you guys. Talk to me, and yeah, peace.